Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. This month's Global Stampin Video Hop, we are doing a must-try card technique. And I just found out about this technique a couple of days ago, completely by accident, and oh my goodness. So, actually, I'm mixing two techniques. One is a fun background that we are going to create. So this here, now you can see there's kind of like a little Milky Way thing here. That's what we need this for. I'm using basic black cardstock. But the other thing I want to show you is we're not going to be creating this exactly because this background is one of a kind. I will never be able to do this again. I'm basically using the same technique, but differently. I hope that makes sense. But I could not be happier with how this turned out. I know I'm totally biased here, but this is my favorite Stellar birthday card yet. This cute little stamp set with these cute little guys. The dog, the girl, the boy, the rocket, the planets. Like, so cute, right? So I created this. Now, part of what my second technique is this background. So do you notice it's not on colored cardstock? It's actually on window sheet. Now, I love the way this turned out. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But as it got more and more and more involved, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to recreate this. This part, super easy, but also super cute, isn't it? But I thought, I'm never going to be able to redo this. So I went to a card that I created a few days ago. And this is the Counting Sheep stamp set and the sheep dies. And these are while quantities last. So with an order of $120 or two separate $60 orders, both before taxes and shipping, you can earn the Counting Sheep stamp set and the sheep dies, which cut out each one of these. But do you see, you can't see my little wheel, can you? That's because it's on window sheet. So these little guys, I know it's not entirely realistic. I mean, you can see one coming up as the other's going down, but I just loved it. And I thought, again, this is gonna be so hard to create. But I want to show you a galaxy background and that acetate wheel. So we're doing an interactive galaxy card. I'm going to do my best to create it like this, but we'll see. So we need about a tablespoon of water. And I saw this from another Canadian demo and oh my goodness. So you need basically not even one drop of dishwashing liquid. Like, I didn't even squeeze that. I'm using Palmolive passion fruit and mandarin because I love the way it smells. Now you are going to put in some re-inker. Now the video that I saw, she was using colored re-inkers and I thought, ooh, you know me, right? I find something and I case it, but I make it my own. I don't know what the term for that is, but I thought, what if we do Whisper White ink on a dark background? I'm sorry, my dogs are playing in the background. They've been sleeping all day. So now we're going to put a generous amount. And the Craft White ink does not come out like any of the other re-inkers. You would be getting drops, but this kind of comes in like a chain. So I'm going to put this, okay, so we're going to mix it up. And now this is going to be messy. So I'm on a mat here. When I was doing this yesterday, I was in my kitchen over the sink and I made a mess. Like, I don't know, this is not from yesterday, but I kind of smurfed myself yesterday. I was using Night and Navy. So I'm going to take a piece of basic black. I'm going to cut it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. If you wanted to do multiples at one time, you probably could leave it as 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, but I'm just going to do one. And what I'm going to do now is the very messy part. So I'm going to stir this up. And the way that I saw the video is you blow the bubbles, you let them come up, and you basically dip the cardstock in it. That's not what I'm going to do. Let's fold this over one more time. These are the half sheets, and I've got 4 of them. think that'll, let's go that way. Okay, so I'm gonna start blowing. If I hit the deck, it's because I'm so out of shape that blowing bubbles is what took me down. Send help. Okay, so you're just going to let it overflow and let it sit on the cardstock. You can pop some, you can do whatever you want. Now, to get this little Milky Way thing that I had, I tried a technique that I tried with other colors, which is entirely how I got this one. I was using shimmery white cardstock, and this little piece that's popping up, I actually didn't do that. The paper was so wet that it was starting to come apart. But I used Night of Navy, Magenta Madness, and Granny Apple Green, and then I added some of the gilded leafing. But what I did was I put a drop of re-inker in there. Now again, the basic white doesn't quite give you a drop. I know my bubbles are popping. Ah! Okay. So you can see how much ink is in there. So now it's mixing in down there. I can move these over. And you are never going to get the same background twice. I dare you to try. And if you have that little bit that you don't want to be concentrated, take an aqua painter, which I have here. Pop that bubble and let's dilute this a little bit. Spread it out. You could also use a spritzer to dilute it. Almost out of bubbles. So it is super fun. I think this would be a great project for kids. Probably gonna have white ink on my face now. And I do have a couple of samples that I want to show you at the end. I'm not sure I'll be doing tutorials on them, but I had a few backgrounds ready, so I thought, hey, might as well make some more samples, right? But you definitely want paper towel. You definitely want a mat to keep your surface contained and kind of dry. Keep your mess contained and your area dry. But I didn't even use it all. I may want to go closer to the edges. And look at that, I'm kind of spraying some re-inker on there. I'm running out. I've been surprised at how difficult it can be to make the bubbles pop sometimes. But you can scoop it out of there. You can take some of that re-inker that's in the bottom and let it fall through. That's way more than I wanted in that area. But it is what it is. Now, if you are impatient like me, you can use your heat tool or you can let it sit. I am going to let this one sit because I've already got this one. And all I did on this one, I was a bit of a dunce. I cleaned my blending brushes, so now I can't even demonstrate it because they're all wet. So what I did was I used Granny Apple Green, Magenta Madness, and Bermuda Bay in here. Maybe we'll bring in some Coastal Cabana and see if it's more visible. But this needs to sit and dry. You can see there's a little bit of black coming onto the paper towel. If you want to add more white, you can add re-inker to a block. Let's do that. Add your aqua painter and just in the same way that we would use it any other time, add your dots. And the more opaque, oh, look at that. I'm coloring the bubbles. So when they pop, hopefully they'll leave that pattern there. But like I said, you're never going to get the same thing twice. Now the other thing I did to get these really opaque white dots is I used my chalk marker and I flicked it. I'm getting a little concerned that I have to order another one, but in the same way that we can flick our Stampin' Right markers, we can do that with the chalk marker. Now this is wet, so I don't think it's going to work as well. And this is a little less forgiving than our Stampin' Right markers. But that is what this is. I couldn't believe how opaque it was. So if you don't have a chalk marker, you need one. It's only for this kind of project. It is pretty cool, but I am going to clean this mess up a little bit, and then we'll ink up this spot so we can see if it makes a difference. And then I'm going to show you my process for this, because if you see, that guy's like triple popped up. We're not going to put it in behind this time. It's going to go in front. I've got a secret coming. But the coloring on here, I used my Scan and Cut to cut them out, and then I colored in that white outline that would look like a die cut. And now they pop off the page, but not in that ugly die cut white edge way. And everything we're using here is water-based, so it wipes up really easily. But I would recommend probably doing it in your kitchen or somewhere where you have a sink. Although this actually worked out not too bad. Don't love those big splotches. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way. So I've gone ahead and die cut some stars. This is from the Give It A Whirl dies, which is this amazing set of dies. This is what we're using for our window sheet, the scalloped circle. I know it's very hard to see, but I've got my window cut out, so that's that die. And on my sample, I used this window. And then what I did was I didn't want it to be bare behind there. So the piece that I cut out, once I realized, oh, I didn't even need to cut that out, I pieced that die cut piece back so that there's no break in the border. Now this isn't the easiest to spin, but how cute is that? The dog is totally floating kind of upside down, backwards, but how cute is that? Like, you don't lose your background. They don't look like die cuts because I've colored in that bit of navy. So if you don't stick around to the end, because this is going to be one of my longer videos, just know that that is what we're going for. So I've got my stars already cut, and there are 2 sets in there. It's fantastic. So on here, because I want to show you what I did, but that one's going to take some time to dry. I could use my heat tool, but I've got this almost ready, and it already is going to be a long video. So Coastal Cabana blending brush, and you're not going to see a ton of color, but you can see the Magenta Madness and the Granny Apple Green, right? And this means you're not sitting here for hours trying to ink up a piece of cardstock and then cover it in black. Although I have 2 other samples that I'm going to use as Northern Lights. This one's on Night of Navy, so added the colors, added my splotches. This one is basic white. So stay tuned, because I am going to do something with this one. Not today, but coming up. Okay, so we can't really see that that is Coastal Cabana, but if you look closely at the stars, you can see that. So that is all I did. Granny Apple Green, Magenta Madness. I actually used Bermuda Bay there, but I would suggest Coastal Cabana. So now we are ready. I thought I want to do this card more like this one, where we've got something that covers the majority of that wheel. And I was designing for a free class that I have. If you spend $100 with me before taxes and shipping, you will get a class using the counting sheep and the sheep dies for free. 4 cards. So I designed this one. I thought that one's a little tricky. So I'm going to show you the gist of it here. So I've got the moon. That is going to be instead of our hillside. And in case you're wondering why I use those papers, the free class is using the host DSP pattern party. So that's why. So the moon this time is going to hide the brad and the pieces that we're not going to see. Awesome, right? So when I was thinking about how I was going to create the moon, and I mean, it has to be at least half of the card, I thought, what stamps do I have that can make it look more like the moon? So I've got this artistically inked, which kind of looks like smoke. Tried it on the back, knowing I was going to use this side. I used Gorgeous Leaves, and then I used, this is a celebration set. What is it called? Textures and Frames. And I thought, you know, none of those are really the moon. And I thought, oh, what if I use the bark folder and I add a little bit of ink to some spots? Perfect, right? So before we go too far, I want to put some foam strip on there, because if you see this, I actually colored it green. Look at the inside, isn't it so cute? We need some space for this thing to do its thing. Oh, look, that's coming off. It's because I peeled that part off trying to figure out how I was going to make it work. So you can't have it come up too high, otherwise the wheel won't spin. And I think part of my wheel not spinning was that the sheep was actually touching the side. I think we ought to be okay this time. And I would highly suggest that if you're going to color this is gray granite. If you are going to color it, do it before you adhere it to the card. It is much trickier that way. Ask me how I know. Okay, so now we're just going to use a piece on the bottom. And we're not making a shaker card, so it's not crucial that it cover from one end to the other, but I want it to. Okay, so that's going to give us the distance that we need to be able to pop this up and have it spin. If I have it right against the card, I can't spin it. So can you see that in behind? I have a little secret to give us some distance from there. Oh, so exciting. So we're going to use another piece of adhesive, but it's going to be the adhesive sheets. And I need a 1-inch circle, which of course is retired now, but I'm sorry, Stampin' Up, I am not getting rid of my circle punches. Okay, so it's just stuck on the release paper. And then I'm going to take just a run-of-the-mill hole punch and punch a hole in the middle. I am not going to take the release paper off. I'll cut this so it's a little cleaner, but I am going to leave that on. And as long as we don't mess with it too much, it's not going to go anywhere. If you are concerned about that, you could punch a piece of cardstock, well, 2 of them, 2 1-inch pieces of cardstock and adhere it to this. But I'm not concerned. Well, I wasn't until I pulled that bit up. We need one of the round and square brads. I'm going to go with white, although, well, let's go with black. It doesn't really matter because we're not going to see it. But there are squares and there are rounds, hence the name. So we want to put this through and then put that through. And I want to kind of landmark where this is going to go. I don't want the brad to show, so let's say I want it, of course it's getting stuck on my strips. Let's say I want it about here, and if you're concerned, go on the lower side. Okay, so this is going to go through, and there we go. It spins, and you could put it a little bit looser so that it spins better. But before I go and adhere any of this part on, I want to stamp and color my images. And we are going to have these 2 little astronauts covering up part of the moon. So I am going to speed through this because there's nothing fancy about the coloring. I will use my scan and cut, color the edges, and we'll assemble it. Did you see how fast and easy that was? Like, I couldn't have die cut them that fast. Unbelievable. I've had this for a few years and I've only just recently really started to learn how to use it properly. Love it. Like, look at these little planets. Not even a hole punch would have done a job that amazing. So I am going to put these on my grid paper and color in that outline. And you might be wondering why I'm using a Stampin' Right marker instead of my Stampin' Blend. Let me show you. That's all that sticks out of my dark Night of Navy. This is what it's supposed to look like. I cannot guarantee that I'm going to stay in the lines with a short little nub like that. And truth be told, Night of Navy is not a color that I've used a lot of, so I've never had a refill. One of these days I'm gonna order it just to get a new one. But in the meantime, I'm going to use my Stampin' Right marker, and I will speed through this because it's another boring process, but good to see in full speed. And then for my two astronauts, I am not going to outline them in Night of Navy or basic black because they are on a gray granite moon. So I could leave them with the white, but I am going to follow what I've done with the rest and I will go Night of Navy. Now, the downside to using a Stampin' Right marker is that it's not like a blend. It's not no line. If you go over the same spot, you could end up pilling, you could end up seeing lines. And there's nothing wrong with my gray granite blend. I suppose I could use that. Let's do that. Let's see what light looks like now that no, we're gonna need dark, I think. But there are a few cute sentiments in here. So have a stellar birthday. You're out of this world, which you know I used on this one. Celebrating you is a blast. There's no one like you in this whole universe. But can I show you something that I just received today? This is the new Host stamp set. It's only during celebration. It is with a $375 order Canadian. And there are a couple sentiments in here that would just be fantastic. Like perhaps the stars are openings where our loved ones shine down to let us know they are happy. Like melt my heart. There's magic in every beginning. Life is full of ups and downs. Hold on tight. Like, so cute. Let's finally assemble this bad boy. Both of our little astronauts are going to be on there. Look how cute they are. They're little die cut colored borders. Okay, so what we need to do is, I had actually contemplated on this one putting my little critters underneath, like on the underside of the window sheet, so that they were safe in there. They weren't going to get stuck on anything, but you can see this is popped up quite a bit. And if I put them on the inside, there was going to be adhesive showing unless I did like a window, an adhesive sheet over top of it. So we're going to stick with going with the outside. Now it's just occurring to me, I don't love that. We're not going to see it, right? We're not going to see that white. But I also want these guys to be out far enough that they can be seen, but not so far out that they can't spin. So let's have, should we have them kind of, I'm going to use tear and tape for the larger pieces and then glue dots for those tiny little planets, because what else would I use, right? Okay, so we're gonna have his head just poking over. And then let's do a dry run. We'll hold it here, make sure. Yep. So now before he comes up, now I don't know if you can see it on here, but when this gets die cut, I know all you can see are my lights or my camera. That one shape that I was talking about, this shape for this window, it actually kind of gets impressed into the window sheet. So as long as we stick to putting a critter in each one of these little pie shapes, and I know you can't see this right now, I know that, but if I can if I can just have one in each of those 3 areas, then it should be good. I was gonna say quadrants, but I don't think it can be quadrants unless it's 4, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh my goodness, how cute. These two might be a little close together, but let's test it out before I go and move it. Because it is window sheet and tear and tape, well, I think it's pretty good. It is fairly easy to move. Oh my goodness, I love it. And you could put a sentiment on one of those. But let's go ahead and peel the release paper on this. I know that this video is super long, and I hope you can appreciate why. And if you make one of these cards, whether it be my original, the Counting Sheep sample, or this one, I would love to see it. This truly is a labor of love. I think you can tell that by just how long this video is and how many steps and just all of it, right? But how stinking cute. Like, even if you aren't a fan of outer space, come on. Even if you don't have kids in your life that you could give this to. I love it. Oh, you know what I forgot? The one step. Because they're in space, they need some stink of voila. Can you see? They're very shiny. Of course, my light. Oh, see her belt? Her whole suit, actually all of her is sparkly. So is he. And one step I didn't show you, I didn't do it on this one because I think it would take forever. I used my fine tip glue pen, whoops, on the window of the rocket ship. Can you see it? There you go. See, wink of Stella on there too. These are all covered in wink because it's space and it's magical. So Fido's little space helmet, fine tip glue pen, but not perfect. I also, you probably saw, I colored it in Pool Party. I think the color kind of got lost with the fine tip glue pen, but look, you could even spin it this way. You don't have to try and fish for that. But I did draw an arrow on there. So everything has wink of Stella. Let's do our stars. So we need a few minis for these. So these dimensionals aren't going to make a difference because they're actually lower than our foam adhesive strip. You can see my cardstock is a little bit warped, and that's because it was wet. But we are ready to adhere this to a card base. How stinking cute. I might actually go over these with black so that they're black. I still can't get over that, like, duh! But how cute are they? So I am going to go ahead and do my wink of Stella, and I'll color those, and that's all. I hope that you enjoy this. I know it was a super long one, like it was an investment of your time. And if you're still here, I so appreciate you spending this time with me. I hope that you loved these projects. I mean, seeing them, and this one demonstrated. I hope that you loved it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. You will catch a new video each and every week. And some weeks you'll be lucky and get 2, like this week. So I will see you soon, my crafty friends. Thank you for watching. Bye.